So good morning everyone. So we were left with SA 600 series, right? If you remember, we'll be starting that. We'll try to finish off with SA 600 key series, not by today, but in a day or 2 days. Okay? So we'll be finishing off SA 600 today. SA 600 using the work of another auditor. SA 600 series is all about using the work of another person, using the work of another person. So 600, you'll see O 0. 0 means what? Other auditor. 0 means what? Other auditor. Similarly, 610, you'll see one looks like I. I means what? Internal auditor. Using the work of what? Internal auditor. And similarly, expert. So
सर
expert
स्क्रीन
is
फ्रीज
like,
है.
yes, Sagar, are you saying something?
स्क्रीन फ्रीज है बोल रहा हूँ सर. अगर
Yes, so I was saying कि 600 में O looks like O, 0 looks like O, so other auditor. 610 में I looks like I, 1 looks like I, therefore I saw internal auditor, and 2 means looks like our expert. Our expert looks like a snake, so snake is like our 620 is using the work of expert, using the work of expert, and expert will be any other person other than auditor obviously, and whether auditor can use the work of expert as well. ठीक है. So we'll start with SA 600 using the work of other auditor or another auditor. Generally, this will arise in a situation where an entities there in an entity there are components of the entities, right? And the components auditor, that means the auditor for all the components of the entity or any of the components of the entity, is different from the entity's auditor as a whole. So if I am the auditor of the entity and you all are auditors of my components, so you all are will be called as what? Component auditors. I will be called as what? Principal auditor. And generally then SA 600 will be applicable because I will have to use your work, right? You will be doing the audit in branch, you will be doing the audit of other components of the entity, and I'll have to use your work as an auditor. I will be using your work. So what is the responsibility of you all? What is the responsibility of me, right? How is the reporting to be done? What is the coordination that has to happen between us? Timing, reporting, whatever can be the case, right? So all this will be dealt with in SA 600 using the work of another auditor. So see objective SA 600. SA 600 applies in situation where an auditor, that means which auditor? Me, principal auditor, reporting on the financial information of the entity as a whole, uses the work of another auditor, that is other auditor, that is component के auditors, you all component के auditors, with respect to the final information of one or more components included in the financial information of the entity, right? And this standard does not deal with those instances where two or more auditors are appointed as joint auditors, because there we have what? SA 299. For joint audit we have SA 299, right? Nor does it deals with the auditor's relationship with the predecessor auditor, because there we have what? There we have for predecessor auditor we have SA 510, SA 710, right? So what, there are other standards which deal with what you need to do with predecessor auditor, if at all. Here we are dealing with what? Current auditor only, but this auditor is not us. These are in fact component key auditors. Acceptance as principal auditor. So, as a principal auditor, what will you do? Auditor should consider whether auditor's own participation is sufficient to be able to act as the principal auditor. For this purpose, what will you consider? This can arise. Just mark this as a probable future question. Mark this as a probable future question because this is very, very important. Not as per ICI, I mean, not you will find that this question you will find anywhere in RTP, MTP, or exam, but as I told, they can directly straight away tell you to write all those points that you will consider if you want to be the principal auditor, whether or not you want to continue the principal auditor. What points you will consider? What your own participation? Whether is it sufficient? Whether is it sufficient to be able to act as the principal auditor or not? Your own participation. What all points you will consider as an auditor? 4 points are given, therefore definitely can be asked for 4 marks, right? So See here, the materiality of the portion of the financial information which the principal auditor audits. So we will consider कि we are suppose doing the audit of 70% of total assets. We are doing the audit of 70% of total assets. Abhi now if screen freezes now, then let me know instantly. So I was saying कि what all points you will consider, that when you consider that whether your own participation is sufficient or not to be able to act as a principal auditor. So you'll see how much of the total assets are you actually auditing. I mean total, suppose total consolidated level पे total assets is, consolidated total assets is suppose 100%, and you out of that you are auditing already few of the entities and major entities, important entities, and you are auditing almost 79% of the total assets of the consolidated level, 79%. Then the 79, this 79%, you will feel that this is material portion of the financial information that you are looking, right? And therefore yes, your own participation is right, you are the principal auditor. You are the principal auditor. Whether auditor's own participation is sufficient to able to act as a principal auditor, yes, here you are doing the material portion of the entire total in financial information, or you can, yes, you are the principal auditor because you are doing the majority 79% of the total assets of the company. Similarly, principal auditor's degree of knowledge, whether you have that knowledge regarding the business of the components ka business. Then risk of material misstatement in the FI of the components audited by the other auditor. See, so you, for a principal auditor also, then you will have to have other knowledges regarding ROMM, regarding business of components, not just about you, but all the components of the business, all the components of the entity. And lastly, performance of additional procedure as set out in this standard on auditing regarding the components audited by other auditor, resulting in principal auditor having significant participation in such audit. So if you think logically, they are actually saying what they are saying कि भैया, for you to become principal auditor you should see कि तुम material portion of the financial information cover कर रहे हो कि नहीं, सबसे पहले, that whether or not you are covering the material portion of the financial information. Secondly, do you have the adequate knowledge about the business of all the components? Do you have the adequate do you know about the ROMM, risk of material misstatement, in not just about your component, but in fact all the components which is audited by other auditors also, and for lastly, performance of all the additional procedure that you need to carry out as per this standard SA 600. SA 600 need to carry out any additional procedures as per this standard on auditing regarding the components audited by other auditor, resulting in the principal auditor having significant participation in such audit. So acceptance as principal auditor, they haven't asked till now, but definitely they can ask, and when they will ask, then you might get confused. So better be prepared right away, right? You can write a question that you can expect. Question would be what? You are the you are auditing XYZ Limited, and there are also few of the components of XYZ Limited who are also doing the audit of the components of the entity actually. Now you as an auditor want to consider whether your own participation is sufficient or not to be able to act as the principal auditor. So what points you will consider? So I'll consider materiality of the total portion of the financial information. Principal auditor का मेरा my knowledge regarding the business of the कंपोनेंट्स. देन कंपोनेंट ऑडिटर जो है उनका रोमम कंपोनेंट्स के जितने रोमम, वहां पे क्या रोमम है, वहां का क्या नॉलेज है. So I should be aware about the components knowledge, as well as I should be aware about the components. What are the risk of material misstatement? That also I should be aware. And lastly, performance of additional procedure required as per SA this standard on auditing. Acceptance as principal auditor. Now, what procedures you will carry out when you are the principal auditor? What all procedures you will carry out when you are the principal auditor? So सबसे पहले we need to obtain psi, right? We need to obtain psi that the work of the other auditor is adequate for the us. That means when we are using other auditors work, then we need to assure ourselves कि भैया other auditor work is adequate for the work of principal auditor. So sufficient appropriate audit evidence प्राप्त करोगी, right? Now when using the work of another auditor, the principal auditor should ordinarily perform the following procedure. What procedure you will perform now? First of all, you will identify intercomponent transaction. What transaction is between intercomponent, right? Those have to be eliminated, right? These are generally eliminated from console level. If you know 10110, right, India's 110, so generally we eliminate intercomponent transaction that may require, but however they may will be requiring disclosure about the same, so they are generally removed from the consolidated profit and loss or balance sheet level. However, they are being disclosed, right? So definitely you need to be aware about those transactions as well in between components itself, right? Transaction between components. Secondly, timetable. What is the timetable for completion of the audit? You need to check with the component auditor ki when they will be sending their audit report, because you will be able to complete your audit report once the component auditor report sends their audit report, right? Then only you will compile all the things, all the financial information, and release your main HO ka audit report, right? So the timetable for completion of the audit is also to be discussed clearly. And then areas requiring special consideration. Yes, do you remember the answer? Areas requiring special consideration. What all areas were there which require special audit consideration? Areas that require special audit consideration. याद है क्या? ऐसे 315. I have asked this so many times, this question.
Sir, significant transaction, related party, relationship transaction, or
Yes, Nikita, correct. Knowledge and experience. पूजा पटेल. क्या बोल रहे पूजा? Knowledge and experience.
To consider a knowledge and experience of other auditor.
To consider knowledge and experience of other auditor.
Sorry, experience person.
For what you are saying? I'm asking about areas that require special audit consideration. Are you talking about this?
Okay, okay.
This we
Mixed कर
studied
दिया
na.
शायद.
Remember Pooja? This we studied in SA 315. What all areas require special audit consideration? So if you remember, I
Oh,
also told you one trick to remember CDEF. आता है related party को ना कि ABCD, and it was very unusual. So as Nikita said, CDEF, right? Kapil also कि unusual CDF. So C से complexity of the transaction है. D से developments regarding, नहीं sorry, degree of uncertainty. Degree of estimate account estimate balance में. E for economic developments. F for fraud, risk of fraud, fraudulent transaction. Related party transaction है क्या कोई? So related party के साथ अगर transaction हो रहा है, if you are transacting with related party, then you you will have to consider specifically. You will have to perform special audit consideration. That means what? You will have to perform the special audit procedures, right? So all this have to be discussed with the component auditor also. All this has to be discussed with the component auditor, right? What all we'll discuss? Intercomponent transaction, ठीक है? Because they might not be disclosing it in the they might not be showing it in the consolidated level. However, the disclosure is required. So we need to discuss upon that कि intercomponent transaction को identify कैसे कैसे करोगे तुम लोग. And then similarly we will also give the timetable for completion of the audit and ask the component auditors to finish off the audit within the given time frame. And thirdly, all areas that require special audit consideration, because that has to be specifically looked by the component auditor, because those are the critical areas, right? Key areas. And then advise the other auditor of the significant accounting, auditing, and reporting requirements and obtain representation as to compliance with them. So any significant reporting requirement that needs to be complied by the component auditor, any new auditing requirement, any new accounting requirement that is there in the component but not in the console level, however it is there in the component level. So all these points you will have to look for, and also advise the component auditor about the same. How he will comply with that, how he will report, how he will audit, how he will account for all these points. So these points have to be discussed with the component auditor. That is what our first point is regarding the principal auditor key procedure. Now see, we have to consider what significant findings of the other auditor. So other auditor will also be doing the audit, applying all the audit procedure as per standards on auditing, and he will be coming up with lot many findings, right? So all these audit findings or any other matters regarding any financial information, we will have to discuss with principal auditor. That means principal auditor and component auditor will discuss all these key findings, significant findings. So regarding significant findings, just remember कि principal auditor may consider it appropriate to discuss with the other auditor and the management of the component. तो discuss करना है, क्या करना है? Discuss what audit findings and other matters regarding financial information. First point. So any regarding any significant finding, you need to first discuss with the component auditor, you need to first discuss with the management, and then only look out for what your opinion should be, right? Opinion parameter. Then he may also decide that supplemental test of the records or the financial statement of the component are necessary or not. Such tests may depend upon the circumstances, be performed by the principal auditor or the other auditor. So generally, you will find this key for you to, like example, segment reporting. So suppose you want to report your component ka pura financial information as a separate segment. Suppose you want to report it as a separate segment. Then you test whether it is breaching or exceeding 10% of total profit or not. Whether it's exceeding total percent 10% of total profit or not, total revenue or not. 10% of total revenue, 10% of total asset, 10% of total profit. So all these supplementary tests for the records of the or the financial statement components, these are necessary, may depend upon the circumstances which is performed by the principal auditor or the other auditor. So supplemental tests of the records or the financial statements of the component. So any test that you find you need to carry out for the purpose of determining the components breach or whatever be the case, then that will depend upon the circumstances and be performed by the principal auditor or the other auditor. Okay. Then again, if there is any modification in the other auditor's report, that means what? Suppose I am the main principal auditor and you all are component auditors. Now out of you all, few have given modified audit report. In your component you find that there is no proper audit evidence that you were obtaining, or suppose for whatever reason you gave modification or you gave modified audit report. So now whether I should also consider or not, that for entity as a whole I should give a modified audit report or what, right? For when I am the auditor for consolidated financial statement for the entity as a whole, should I also give modified audit report? That has to be considered by me if any of the component auditors has given what? Modification in their audit opinion, right? Because that will be included in the console level, and therefore if there is a modification in one of the ingredients of the entire audit report, then that has to be specifically considered by the principal auditor also, that he whether he needs to modify the entire audit report or what. So principal auditor will consider whether modification in his report is required or not. Then we'll have to look out for who all are actually the other auditor, whether they are chartered accountants or not, whether they are competent or not, right? Specifically you will have to check the competency when other auditors are not the ICI member. That means they are not chartered accountants. So then you'll have to also look out for the professional competency of the other auditors. Now then you'll visit the component, because generally you won't be getting the idea about the component just by sitting in the head office, right? So you can visit the component if it is required. If it is required and you really need to examine the books of account, if it is really essential, then you can visit the component, examine books of account, whatever you want. Then that can be carried out as an audit procedure as per SA 600 only. Then perform procedure to obtain sight that the work of other auditor is adequate for the purpose of principal auditor, and for this purpose we will carry out all these points. What all points? We will inform the other auditor regarding intercomponent transaction, will inform about timetable, areas requiring special audit consideration, and advise the other auditor of the significant accounting, auditing and reporting requirements and obtain representation as to compliance with them. So same point is there regarding what all points you will consider while performing the audit procedure. So what all procedures you will perform if you want to determine कि तुम्हारा work, oh sorry, like you all, the work of other auditors will be adequate for me or not, will be adequate for the principal auditor or not. So for all this I need to determine what कि special audit consideration क्या है, timetable बताना पड़ेगा, then intercomponent transaction because of the disclosure requirement, and lastly any advice that you need to take to the other auditor regarding any significant accounting development, regarding auditing development, or any of the reporting requirement changes or new reporting requirements. Lastly, you need to review a written summary of other auditors procedure, because you need to look out for other auditors की procedure, because ultimately you will be relying upon the other auditors, right? You'll be relying upon the other auditors. However, the responsibility will be divided. Responsibility will be divided means what? You will be responsible for whatever portion you did the audit, and the component auditors will be responsible for whatever portion they did the audit. So in our example, for 79% of total assets, right, for 79% of total assets we will be responsible, and for remaining 21% other auditors will be responsible, other auditors will be responsible, right? So for this purpose, that since other auditors will be responsible, however I need to be sure कि भैया अदर ऑडिटर ने किया क्या है एक्चुअली में ऑडिट करते करते. सो रिव्यू करो, एक रिटर्न समरी बनवा लो अदर ऑडिटर से कि व्हाट ऑल प्रोसीजर्स हैव दे परफॉर्म, व्हाट ऑल प्रोसीजर्स हैव दे परफॉर्म. नाउ इफ यू वांट टू लर्न ऑल द पॉइंट्स, लेट्स सी व्हाट हाउ वी कैन डू सो. सो प्रवीण सर से एफआर पढ़ेंगे. वी स्टडीड एफआर फ्रॉम प्रवीण सर. Now he is very competent, if you remember, right? He is very competent. You will also visit your own city and examine the books of account, Sai, obtaining Sai. But however, if you remember, recall, he cannot handle IT properly, right? And neither is, strict to his timetable. But he gives very good advice and also prepares a very nice summary. He prepares a very good advice and also prepares a nice summary. It's a bit tricky point to remember all the points in a single sentence or two. But if you recollect, if you want to revise again and again, then definitely you will recollect all the points. So see Praveen sir FR. So Praveen sir FR will be what? We'll just look from here. So FR will be, see this. F will be findings, any findings regarding significant findings of the other auditor. So I told you what, for any finding you will need to discuss, right? Discuss with the auditor, other auditor, and discuss with the management. So F से finding, R से auditor report में कोई modification है क्या? Report में modification. R से report modified है क्या? R से what? Report modified है क्या? Then competent थे वो, बहुत competent थे. So competency of the other auditor, specifically when other auditors are not the member of ICA, right? So then you will have to check what competency of other auditor. Visit पे आए थे, so visit the component, examine all the books of accounts, right? And obtain all the sufficient appropriate audit evidences. However, he could not handle IT, if you remember. So IT stands for intercomponent transaction. IT stands for what? Intercomponent transaction. And also टाइम टेबल के भी पक्के नहीं थे वो. So timetable से timetable that needs to be given to the other auditor. And lastly, however, he used to give very good advice. So advise this advice the other auditor of the significant auditing, accounting, and reporting requirements. And lastly, summary. So last summary you will obtain from other auditor whether how or what all procedures have he performed, what all procedure other auditor has performed, right? So the written summary you can obtain from other auditor. ठीक है, एक बार देख लो ये आंसर. नीड टू बी कंफर्टेबल अराउंड दिस आंसर बिकॉज मेजर चंक है यही स्टैंडर्ड का से 600. Any doubt that you have, if you're not able to recollect or you want to you know revise your own way, this is not suiting you, then that is completely fine, perfectly fine. But you should be aware about all the points ki advice dena hai, intercomponent transaction, competency, examining the books of account, visit the components, then timetable, audit areas requiring special audit consideration वाला point था, intercomponent transaction, advice regarding auditing reporting requirement, then review a written summary of other auditors procedure. Point 1 and point 5 is repeated actually, Nupur. Point 6, point 1 and point 6, it's actually got repeated.
like joint 500 लेट्स हो सर कंपोनेंट ऑडिटर मींस यहाँ पे सर कोई पार्ट ऑफ फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट का कोई पार्ट अगर और कोई ने ऑडिट कर रहा है एंड देन दैट विल बी द कंपोनेंट ऑडिटर राइट और ब्रांच ऑडिटर विल बी द कंपोनेंट ऑडिटर.
ब्रांच ऑडिटर कंपोनेंट ऑडिटर फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट का अदर पार्ट इज ऑडिटेड बाय अदर पर्सन मींस वी व्हाट कि भाई कंसोल लेवल पे तो कंसोल लेवल पे कंसोलिडेटेड टोटल एसेट्स पे सपोज ब्रांच ए का एसेट है, ब्रांच बी का एसेट है, ब्रांच सी का एसेट है, ब्रांच डी का एसेट है, हेड ऑफिस का है, राइट? सो एवरीथिंग इज देयर. सो कंसोल लेवल पे सपोज यू आर डूइंग ऑडिट ऑफ ऑल दिस थ्री देन इन तीनों का कंसोल लेवल पे टोटल पोर्शन समझ लो बन रहा है 79%, 80%, वॉट एवर बी द केस. सो डेट इज मेंट बाय एक्चुअली कि कितना पोर्शन ऑफ द टोटल एसेट्स आर यू डूइंग द ऑडिट, एंड इतना ये दोनों का एसेट्स बन रहा है सपोज लास्ट 21%.
अच्छा अच्छा, then if significant amount, then we will be the principal auditor.
प्रिंसिपल ऑडिटर.
Okay, okay.
And then obviously for your principal auditor then you will also have to see ki whether you know the ROMM with respect to component auditors, components audited by other auditors. Also you need to be aware about the business that the other components are carrying out. ठीक है, because ultimately you will be also giving the opinion on the entire entity as a whole. However, you will not be held responsible. I am right now only I am telling you all because we will be seeing the divided responsibility in the case of SA 600. However, you need to be aware about all the points in with regard to components as well. You need not deep dive. You need not deep dive and do the all the detail checking regarding audit and everything. You need not do the detailed auditing. However, you need to be aware about all the ROMM present in the components, knowledge specifically about all the business that you have about the components. Now, let's come to role of principal auditor and role of other auditor. What exactly needs to be the area of responsibility between principal auditor and other auditor, what how actually are they going to coordinate between each other, right? So coordination between auditor they can ask, or they can directly ask what role of principal auditor and role of other auditor. See the question just beside beta limited वाला first. Beta limited वाला question देखो एक बार. Question, just see this. Role of principal auditor and role of other auditor. So they are directly asking what explain the role of principal auditor and other auditor and as the auditors of parent company and subsidiary company respectively. ठीक है, सो रोल बताना है अपने को. प्रिंसिपल ऑडिटर का रोल क्या है? विल हैव टू इशू रिटर्न कम्युनिकेशन टू अदर ऑडिटर, राइट? सो रिटर्न कम्युनिकेशन टू अदर ऑडिटर will advise on any matters that come to his attention that we think will be important in other components as well. So other auditors के काम में भी वो important advice हो सकती है. Therefore, we will advise the other auditor as well regarding any matter that come to our attention. And also, when considered necessary, principal auditor can require the other auditor to answer a detailed questionnaire as well. So we'll give a written communication to other auditor. Similarly, you can write like this: that principal auditor will issue written communication, will issue advice, and then lastly a detailed questionnaire to other auditor, right? A detailed questionnaire to other auditor. So principal auditor will be, the role will be what? To issue written communication, to issue advice wherever he feel that yes auditor other auditor का attention भी लाना जरूरी है. And thirdly, detailed questionnaire that he wants other auditor to fill and give it to him. So detailed questionnaire regarding matters on which principal auditor requires information for discharging all his duty. So डिटेल क्वेश्चनर भेज सकते हो, एडवाइस दे सकते हो उसको, एंड रिटर्न कम्युनिकेशन करोगे जो भी करोगे. What would be other auditor का रोल? भैया other auditor का रोल would be to completely do the audit, to complete the audit in time, on time, timely completion करो, right? Compliance with all the written communications that he has received, all the advice that he have received from the principal auditor, all the detailed questionnaire that he has received, you should also reply back to the same. These all will be what? Role of other auditors. He should comply with all the other compliance statutory requirement, respond to all the questionnaires that he has obtained from the principal auditor, any significant findings that he obtains in the audit of other components, then he should also make principal auditor known about the same, like aware about the any significant findings which he has found in the other components. So these are will be what? My role as an other auditor. My role as an other auditor. For example, by bringing to principal auditors immediate attention any significant findings to be dealt with at entity level, adhering to the timetable for the audit, that is completion of the audit on time, compliance with all the relevant statutory requirement, respond to detailed questionnaire that was sent by the principal auditor. These all will be what? Role of other auditor. So it's very simple. Just go through it once again. Role of principal auditor and role of other auditor. Now come to reporting consideration. Now particularly we need to consider when exactly are we required to issue modified audit report. Now think. First of all, do not think, do not see, just think. Tell me what will be the case. Now we were looking for here, we were doing what? We were trying to obtain audit evidence that work of other auditor is adequate for the purpose of principal auditor. So what if you found that it is not adequate, it is inadequate? What if you find that it is inadequate, the work of other auditor is inadequate, and you are then not able to perform any sufficient additional procedure regarding which you will obtain audit evidence on the financial information of the components? Overall, you are not able to get the confidence on the components auditor, and that is why you feel कि other auditor का जो काम है that is not adequate for me. However, also secondly, that I will not be able to perform any sufficient additional procedure so that I can obtain evidence that yes, component financial information is true and giving true and fair view. So both is not possible, both the things are not possible. Then you should issue qualified opinion, yes or no? Why? Because you are not able to exactly get the audit evidence. That means what? There is certain limitation on the scope of audit, right? There is restriction on your audit, and since you are not able to obtain audit evidences, you will be issued either qualified opinion or you will disclaim opinion if you feel that misstatements are not only material but also pervasive, right? So if misstatements are material and pervasive, then you will issue disclaimer opinion. However, you feel that misstatements are only material but not pervasive as a whole, then you can issue qualified opinion. And when is the situation arising? The situation arises when you are not able to get the grip on other auditor, that you are not able to sure about him, and you are also not able to perform any sufficient additional procedure so as to obtain audit evidences regarding financial information of the component. And therefore, in that case, you will issue qualified opinion or disclaimer of opinion. Now, in other circumstances where where yes, you are able to rely upon other auditors work, and you think कि other auditor का जो work है is adequate for me as a principal auditor, it is adequate कि other auditor जो भी काम कर रहे हैं. Now, but other auditor has given modification in component auditor's report. So he has modified the component auditor's report. Now, whether we will think कि what is the materiality of the component auditor's report, वो कितना percentage form कर रहा है हमारा, whether the modification is regard to significant matter or is it just chindapundi, right? Chundipundi matter है कि significant matter है. So if it is a significant matter, it is also forming material portion of the total consolidated assets, then yes, we also might be required to modify our opinion because component opinion is being modified. That could be one of the cases where we feel that our opinion can need not need may need to be modified as well. So there can be two situations for modification. One is where we find that other auditor ka work is inadequate and we are not able to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidences by applying all sufficient additional audit procedures regarding financial information of the entity. Second case could be that when component auditor has modified his audit opinion, एंड वी फील कि वो कंपोनेंट का जो मॉडिफिकेशन है इट इज वेरी वेरी सिग्निफिकेंट, इट इज वेरी वेरी मटेरियल एंड रेलेवेंट, एंड देयरफॉर वी आल्सो माइट बी रिक्वायर्ड टू मॉडिफाई आवर ओन प्रिंसिपल ऑडिटर्स रिपोर्ट. ठीक है, रिपोर्टिंग कंसिडरेशन कैन कम इन एमसीक्यू एक्चुअली. You should be aware about the concept. That's it. Now come to division of responsibility. So I told you whether you will be held responsible for the work of other auditor, yes or no. Whether you will be held auditor, whether you will be held responsible for the work of other auditor, yes or no. Since you are issuing principal auditors as a principal auditors report, you will be issuing the entire audit report, right, including components figure. So if component is audited by other auditor and you are auditing other things, so whether you will be held responsible for components audit as well. Arnab is saying yes, Pooja is saying no. Then Lakshmi is also saying no, right? This already I told you that we will not be held responsible. This is divided responsibility. Divided responsibility means what? The portion of the audit which is carried out by other auditor will only be held responsible. And therefore, we in our audit opinion, audit report also states ki how much portion of total assets, how much portion of total revenue, how much portion of total profit have we audited in actuality, and rest is audited by other auditors. We specifically state this so as to divide the responsibility amongst us and amongst the other auditors. Getting this? So see here, principal auditor would not be responsible in respect of the work entrusted to the other auditors except in circumstances which the suspicion should have arisen. So in cases where it was obvious material misstatement, however, other auditor also ignored the same deliberately, and it was so obvious that principal auditor by just looking it could have also find, or if not find, then at least a suspicion could have arisen. So suspicion also if not arose, then in that case, yes, you might be held responsible if it is so obvious matter. It is only in exception cases, rare cases, where it was so I mean so so absolutely, what you can say is very very apparently you can find ki yes, it should have been found by you as an auditor ki yes, there is some material misstatement. So that is an apparent misstatement which you should have found, or you should have at least got some suspicion. You should have at least got some suspicion. Therefore in that case, yes, there you will might be held responsible. But in other cases, in mostly 99% of the cases, you will not be held responsible in respect of the work which you have entrusted with other auditors. When the principal auditor has to base his opinion on the financial information of the entity as a whole, relying upon the statements and reports of other auditors, his report should state clearly the division of the responsibility. I told you, right, that we will clearly state in our report, in our opinion, that we have done 79% of the total assets of the entity, rest 29% is being performed by other auditors. Clearly mention करो, divide करो responsibility को, clearly divide करना है तुमको, division of the responsibility for the financial information of the entity. By indicating, क्या indicate कर रहे हो, देखो 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 fast, indicating the extent to which FI of components are audited by other auditors, extent to which was 21% of the components total assets, total revenue, total profit, whatever be the case, is audited by other auditors, have been included in the financial information of the entity, and this 21% is included in our 100% of the entity of which we are giving our audit opinion. Example you can give is number of branch, you can divide it based on number of branches, number of divisions, number of subsidiary, or other components audited by other auditors, that what components are audited by other auditors and how many components have we audited as a whole as an auditor, principal auditor. So you can divide this responsibility accordingly. I hope it's understood. Just give it a reading once again so that we can move to last point of this standard. Huh?
Sir, in terms of responsibility, the work will be divided. The reporting or the principal auditing has the reporting responsibility, right? Like without branch component, everything is true and fair view. But while communicating with the other auditor by principal auditor, he is not getting response. Means that he is getting the inadequate, sufficient, appropriate audit evidence. In that case, he can't simply issue the true and fair view, right? And that component may be significant part, maybe significant of the whole financial portion.
You are saying ki component is not audited.
No, no, yeah, component is audited by other auditor. and that is significant also. But there is no communication between principal auditor and other auditor, because maybe he is not giving the all the details of their reporting. In that case, principal auditor can't simply issue that true and fair view, right? He has to modify. So
So
there
that
is
is, that will be the
modification
same na,
responsibility.
कि you are not able to identify कि whether you can rely upon the other auditor or not, whether the work of other auditor is adequate or not, that you have to look out, right? So if you are not
Mhm.
able to see कि whether the work of other auditor is adequate for you, then yes, I told you कि in that case you will have to perform sufficient additional audit procedure to obtain audit evidence regarding other audit components, and if not, then you will have to qualify or modify or give, even give disclaimer.
So he has the reporting responsibility, right? He simply can't say like, this is not my portion, so I will give the true and fair view in for my report."
No, no, no. See, true and fair view is given entirely if you are doing modification. So the reporting format will be the same. Ki except for the matter stated in the basis for opinion para, the financial statement give true and fair view. That you will say simply same. And in the basis for opinion para, you will uh, clearly differentiate all the points कि भैया why component auditor I was not able to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence regarding the component, and also the component auditor work is not adequate for the work of principal auditor, which is me, and for that matter we are modifying with respect to that component, and because of the significance of the component, because of the materiality of the component, our entire entity is getting modified audit opinion. So that you will explain it basis for opinion para. So ट्रू एंड फेयर व्यू अलग अलग से नहीं किया, इस ब्रांच का ट्रू एंड फेयर व्यू है, अदर ब्रांचेस का ट्रू एंड फेयर व्यू नहीं है. गेटिंग इट कि रिपोर्टिंग तो वैसी होगी जैसी होती है रिपोर्टिंग अपनी.
Okay.
अर्नब कुछ कुछ और बोल रहे थे क्या तुम? क्वेश्चन.
क्वेश्चन सर था कि सर, मतलब आप बोले ना, मतलब सिंपली लाइक प्रिंसिपल ऑडिटर क्लीन रिपोर्ट दिया, अनमॉडिफाइड रिपोर्ट दिया, बट but he has not communicated with the other auditor, or maybe other auditor does not cooperate with the principal auditor, or there is inadequate work by the other auditor. So in that case, principal auditor can issue the clean report, yes, providing that this is not the part of my work, so I am just giving the
No,
clean
no,
report.
no, you have to give audit opinion on the entire entity, right? 100% of
So
the total assets. तो हंड्रेड
that's why
परसेंट
the
एसेट्स
question
पे देना
like
है
that.
तुमको ओपिनियन, बट यू विल बी रिलाइंग अपॉन अदर ऑडिटर्स की बाकी 21% जिसका तुम ऑडिट नहीं कर रहे हो अदर कंपोनेंट्स का, उसका ओपिनियन तुम उठा सकते हो उन ऑडिटर से. हाउएवर यू विल हैव टू कंपाइल एंड गिव ऑडिट ओपिनियन फॉर द होल मैटर. सो यू कांट सिंपली से कि 79% का जितना मैंने कंपोनेंट ऑडिट किया उसका ट्रू एंड फेयर व्यू है, बाकी का जिस जिसका मिला उसका ट्रू एंड फेयर व्यू जो भी, बट जिसका नहीं मिला उसका मैं नहीं बोल सकता. It won't be like that. It will be either modified since you are not able to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence about the component. तो साई मिल जाना चाहिए कंपोनेंट का कैसे भी. इफ यू आर नॉट एबल टू ऑब्टेन either by way of communication with the other auditor or by performing your own additional audit procedure in whatever way, if you are not able to obtain sai, then that will be limitation restriction on your scope, and then you will have to see कि वो component significant है, material है क्या for modification of the entire auditor's report. पूरा ऑडिटर रिपोर्ट को मॉडिफाई करने जरूरी है क्या उस कंपोनेंट का इंफॉर्मेशन अनअवेलेबल होने के कारण. Regarding division of responsibility shown in auditor's responsibility para, this you will show where, yes everyone tell me, ऑडिटर्स की रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी कौन सी पैरा में आ जाती है? डिवीजन ऑफ रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी. पूजा यू ओनली टेल मी विच पैरा यू विल रिपोर्ट. ऑडिटर्स रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी कौन से पैरा में जाती है? अदर मैटर पैरा. इतने जल्दी भूलो रो क्या? अदर मैटर पैरा में जाती ना, रिगार्डिंग ऑडिट, ऑडिटर्स रिपोर्ट एंड ऑडिटर्स रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी. यस और नो एवरीवन? बोलो भैया.
और responsibilities में आएगी.
हाँ हाँ
नहीं, आई एम सेइंग कि ये जो अपन बता रहे हैं ना कि डिवीजन ऑफ रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी दैट वी हैव टू आल्सो टेल कि हाउ मेनी नंबर ऑफ ब्रांचेस हैव वी ऑडिटेड एंड नंबर ऑफ ब्रांचेस ऑडिटेड बाय अदर ऑडिटर, and therefore we will not be held responsible for the audit done by the component auditor. So where you are clearly dividing the responsibility, you are specifically mentioning about your responsibility, so all this will be stated where in other matter para. ये
yes
रिपोर्टिंग जो करोगे वो अदर मैटर पैरा में करोगे ना, बिकॉज अदर मैटर पैरा में अपन ये सब रिपोर्टिंग करते रिगार्डिंग
yes sir
ऑडिट, ऑडिटर्स रिपोर्ट, ऑडिटर्स रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी.
yes sir
Now come to reporting by principal auditor. So principal auditor can qualify or disclaim his audit report if already we have discussed, right? If he cannot use other auditors work procedure, if he cannot use, right, he finds that other auditor का जो work है is not adequate for the purpose of principal auditor. Secondly, is not able to perform sufficient additional procedure, not able to perform sufficient additional audit procedure to obtain audit evidence about the components. And thirdly, statement of division of responsibility in principal auditor's audit report में तुमको डिवीजन बता देना है कि कितना फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट का कितना कंपोनेंट तुमने ऑडिट किया है, एंड हाउ मच ऑफ द फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट, फाइनेंशियल इंफॉर्मेशन का कितना पोर्शन इज ऑडिटेड बाय अदर ऑडिटर्स, इज also included in our financial statement also, but however is audited by other auditors, component auditors. So all this will be mentioned in your audit report, audit opinion para. So see this, ये PQ लिमिटेड वाला क्वेश्चन देखो. And then also look for delimited वाला. PQ limited वाला question is very simple. However, you need to be aware कि ऐसा कोई question आ सकता है because they have not yet asked till now. But I specifically prepared this, so you need to be aware about that. They can ask this कि क्या factors तुम consider करोगे while you want to accept the position of principal auditor. वो हो जाएगा तो delimited वाला question देखना, important. Done.
Okay, sir. Means in delimited case, सर वो सिंपली सिर्फ इफेक्ट वो बताएगा फिनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट का, बट जैसा उसको रिपोर्ट देना था ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ इंडियन कंपनी, इंडियन कंपोनेंट, वो वैसे रिपोर्ट देगा, जैसे क्लीन रिपोर्ट देना था क्लीन रिपोर्ट देगा, बट द इफेक्ट विल बी ओनली डिस्क्लोज इन द रिपोर्ट.
नहीं, यहाँ तो मॉडिफिकेशन जाएगा ही ना. Has a branch at USA having turnover of 10 lakhs. The area where the branch office is located in USA was severely affected by storms. An office along with all accounting records were destroyed. So due to unavailability of records, the financial statement of delimited did not include the figures pertaining to said branch. So what will you do as an auditor? How will you report on the same? तो तुम क्या बोल रहे हो?
तो सर एक्चुअली जो मेरे को सिर्फ वो क्या ना, वो रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी वाला चीज को लेके सिर्फ डाउट था, वही रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी किस किस का है. तो एज दैट दिस द रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी ऑफ द अदर ऑडिटर, सो मुझे मैं यही सोच रहा था कि सो आवर रिस्पॉन्स एज पर आवर रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी इट इज क्लीन, बट वी हैव टू आल्सो इंक्लूड दैट
But
द
we are not
इफेक्ट ऑफ
taking
दे
up
आर
the
राइट.
responsibility ना. We'll be
हाँ
issuing
हाँ
qualified opinion because
हाँ सर, गेट इट.
हाँ,
तो यहाँ मर्टलिटी का पॉइंट आएगा ना
मटेरियलिटी यू
कंपोनेंट
कैन इंक्लूड, बट हाउएवर कंसिडरिंग कि एक ही ब्रांच है यूएसए में, so it will be material assuming that it is a material branch only.
ओके
You can write that what effect it can have on your financial statement, and not only on financial statement, it is also a presence of your entity outside India, right? So we are done with SS 600. अभी अपन एक बार स्टेटस चेक कर लेते हैं. ऐसे अगर 500 सीरीज पूरी पूरी रेडी हो गई है तुम्हारी, so let's take with SS 700 series also. ऐसे 700 की सीरीज भी रेडी कर लो, ठीक है। वी विल टेक टेस्ट टुगेदर फॉर ऐसे 500 एज वेल एज ऐसे 700 की सीरीज, दोनों को साथ में टेस्ट ले लेते हैं। आई होप एवरीवन हैज प्रिपेयर्ड ऑलरेडी फॉर ऐसे 500 सीरीज, ठीक है। तो ऐसे 700 की सीरीज भी प्रिपेयर कर लो। इट्स नॉट दैट ट्रिकी, बट ऐसे 700 की भी बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है फॉर फाइनल लेवल, ऐसे 700 सीरीज। सो ऐसे 700 सीरीज एंड ऐसे 500 की सीरीज वी विल हैव टेस्ट, ठीक है, ऑन दिस सैटरडे, ठीक है। वन थिंग इज दिस। सेकेंड थिंग इज कि अभी आई विल बी स्टार्टिंग अ न्यू बैच फ्रॉम 9th जुलाई, ठीक है। सो व्हाट आई एम थिंकिंग कि आई विल बी मर्जिंग यू विद दैट बैच। तो उस केस में 9 जुलाई से आई एम स्टार्टिंग विद न्यू बैच, सो आई विल बी मर्जिंग यू विद दैट बैच। सो टिल देन we will not be having classes. Instead I'll be giving you recorded classes of company audit. So अभी तक जितना पोर्शन लेफ्ट है, क्या स्टेटस है एक बार देख लो, वेदर यू आर स्टिल लेफ्ट विद पीएससी ऑडिट और नॉट। पीएससी ऑडिट कर लिया सबने, यस और नो? द रिकॉर्डिंग आई सेंट
हाँ सर, हो गया।
सबका, पूजा, नुपुर, कृपाली, निकिता, पीएससी ऑडिट एवरीवन हैज
कर
डन।
लिया।
कंपनी ऑडिट yesterday I sent you the recording where everyone saw that.
नो सर, पेंडिंग।
Why pending again? ठीक है। So complete all the pending things that you have till now, till then, and also prepare for the test, ठीक है। Saturday we will do, on Saturday we will meet, on 8th July we will meet and finish off 610 and 620, ठीक है। Saturday we'll meet and finish off 610 and 620, and from 9th we will start again. So you have till what? 6th and 7th. So 2 days, 6th and 7th, you will finish off company audit. Recordings I'll share in the group, and also prepare for the test accordingly, ठीक है। 6th and 7th there will be no session, live session, but you will have to again follow your normal routine only. Follow your normal routine, wake up early, complete your lecture fast in during date period only. You should be finishing off with your one subject audit, then you can pick up any other subject that you are also carrying out with the audit, like SFM or FR, whatever you are taking up. And like follow your normal routine, do not keep it light, and complete company audit, ठीक है। And also prepare for test. We will finish off 610 and 620 on Saturday, then we'll be mostly left with 4 or 5 chapters. So from 9th we will take up that, ठीक है। 9th onwards we will take consolidated financial statement from 9th onwards, ठीक है। So that is going to be regarding future course of action. And regarding your all future course of action, all the best for today, whose result you are waiting for, second group or whatever exam you might have given. I exactly don't know regarding the status of everyone, but if you are hoping, so all the best everyone, don't worry, everything will be fine, सब बढ़िया रिजल्ट आएगा। कुछ डिस्कस करने लायक लग रहा है या कुछ भी लग रहा है, सो यू कैन एनी टाइम कॉल मी, ठीक है। और इतना टेंशन मत लो, the result will be as per what you have already given, right? So efforts अभी लेना पड़ता है, टेंशन लेके मतलब नहीं है, एफर्ट्स लेके मतलब है, ठीक है। सो एफर्ट्स अभी लो, ताकि अगेन सेम रिजल्ट दैट यू विल गेट टुडे, आई एम होपिंग सक्सेसफुल रिजल्ट ओनली, राइट। द सेम रिजल्ट आई एम होपिंग फॉर नवंबर अटेम्प्ट ऑल्सो। नवंबर अटेम्प्ट अपना लास्ट एंड फुल एंड फाइनल होगा, ग्रुप 2 दिए हो अभी, ग्रुप 2 का रिजल्ट आ रहा होगा। सो ऑल द बेस्ट फॉर देम, अच्छा रिजल्ट आएगा। एंड सेम एफर्ट अभी कंटिन्यू करते जाओ, तो ग्रुप 1 का भी रिजल्ट अपना परफेक्ट आएगा, ठीक है, नवंबर के लिए। सो प्रिपेयर अकॉर्डिंगली फॉर टेस्ट एज वेल एज फॉर रिविजन, एंड एनी पेंडिंग थिंग्स दैट यू हैव, क्लियर अप ऑल द पेंडिंग थिंग्स, ठीक है। विल मीट ऑन 9th देन। चलो, ऑल्सो okay, yeah, Suneshwaran and one more student was asking for SFM tips. So see, SFM के लिए, if you are starting, you have started with SFM ना, so first of all you should try to go through the all the topics and all the things by just going through the sums and all everything. So even if you're not able to get the sum by your own, फर्स्ट रिवीजन के टाइम पे व्हाट आई डिड, मतलब मैं अपना बताता हूँ व्हाट अप्रोच आई डिड फर्स्ट रिवीजन के टाइम पे, इवन इफ आई एम नॉट एबल टू अप्लाई माय ब्रेन्स की डायरेक्टली मैं कैसे करूँ खुद से, सो आई सॉ द सॉल्यूशन ऑल्सो, सॉ द सॉल्यूशन एंड अकॉर्डिंगली अप्लाइड द ब्रेन कि हाँ ये ऐसा क्यों हुआ, एक्चुअली ऐसा ऐसा क्यों हुआ, एस एम आईसीए ने ऐसा ऐसा क्यों किया, and if there is any difference between the approach about what your teacher have given you and regarding SFM ICI ने कैसा approach लिया है, adopt किया है, so just tally approach अगर कोई भी कुछ भी difference है तो, and go with the ICI approach, कुछ ना कुछ लॉजिक लगा के उनके साथ ही जाओ, एंड मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम आईसीआई का लॉजिक सेम ही इजी है, मतलब इतना वो नहीं है कि गलत ही रहता है हमेशा, ठीक है, फर्स्टली. सेकेंडली, in the second revision onwards, then you don't have to see the solution. Do not see solution in the second revision onwards, you don't have to see at all. Apply your brains, right, लिख के करो कैसे भी करो, but second revision onwards you will not have to see solution, but check after you solve. So check after you solve, and immediately I used to do what I'll tell you. Immediately I used to summarize कि मैंने क्या mistake की है, or any new topic or new content which I forgot, or any new thing that I learned, I used to summarize that. Once I used to summarize, उसके बाद देयर इज नो लुकिंग बैक, आई विल नेवर फॉरगेट इट, दैट इज फॉर श्योर. ट्राई दिस वंस, यू विल take much longer time for second time revision, however that would be your enough revision for third time. That means for third time you don't have to go all these details again and again, you'll just see the sum, you'll calculate in the calculator itself, and you'll get with the answer. And whatever mistake you did here, even if you are committing a silly mistake, that also you write, that also silly mistake, silliest of the mistake, 2 plus 2 5, whatever mistake you did, so that all things you need to write, summarize in a book, in a copy, and you need to prepare a summary as well. Summary chart एक होता था, my faculty gave me a chart, summary chart, so I used to incorporate all the questions also in the summary. So whatever summary you get now, so you will get the summary right from anywhere. So that summary is not sufficient anytime anyone's summary is never sufficient unless you modify it according to your own suitability. So you will have to modify the summary based on your revision, how you are revising, what mistakes you are committing, so that mistakes have to be summarized there just beside the point, just beside the revision point. So example SFM में, forex में, you are there contango है, right, contango में I don't exactly remember, but spot used to be greater than f. So if there is a question regarding this contango से related एक question है, so you can write कि ये question था and then this question I committed this mistake, ये question में ये mistake मैंने commit कर दी, concept क्या है, this concept you already be aware about regarding the summary में already concept will be there, but वो concept test कैसे हुआ, apply कैसे हुआ question में, and actually में mistake क्या कमी थी, ये एक बार फटाफट से लिखते जाओ just after solving it. Then you will have the grip, proper grip पूरा आ जाएगा, you'll never forget regarding what mistake you committed, although there can be a possibility कि you can commit a new mistake, but the same mistake you will not cover. ठीक है, second revision is the very the most important second revision. First revision में you will have to be very comfortable कि so that you are not afraid about the subject. So इसलिए मैं कभी recommend नहीं करूंगा कि without seeing the solution just try and start with the solution by your own. So start with reading the solution कि solution क्या है, क्यों है, what is the concept, कैसे solve किया है, क्यों किया है, आईसीए ने कैसे solve किया है, approach क्या है, दोनों में difference है क्या कुछ, just compile everything in the first revision, give up with all your concepts, एक बार refresh कर लो सारा चीज, and then in the second attempt or the second revision you'll have to feel कि हाँ बस यही है मुझे, I need to be on my own, on my toes, I cannot see the solution, that is for sure. कितना भी मन करे देखना नहीं है, commit the mistake, whatever mistake you commit, write it down. That is the major most important. I know कि ये जो मैं बता रहा हूँ अभी 90% of the student will not follow. I know this कि लिख के पूरा टाइम बहुत लगता है इसमें. But if you do this, I am 100% sure कि स्कोर तो बेस्ट होगा. Scoring definitely will improve. No doubt about that. ठीक है. And specifically do पॉइंट आउट द थ्योरी चैप्टर्स, उस पर काफी अटेंशन दो. थ्योरी चैप्टर्स को प्रॉपर समराइज करो, प्रॉपर याद करो, रिवाइज करो बार बार, ट्रिक्स बनाओ, मेमोरी ट्रिक्स बनाओ, इवन इफ यू आर नॉट एबल टू रिकॉल, कॉन्सेप्चुअली देखो कि ये कॉन्सेप्ट क्यों है यहाँ पे, बिकॉज आई नो, आई पर्टिकुलरली रिमेंबर इन माई टाइम November 2020 एग्जाम SFM पेपर वॉज अ बिट ट्रिकी and in that attempt even they asked theory questions also, all new questions was asked. And I was particularly able to, you know, crack the SFM only because of my theory, because even though the questions were new, I was thorough with the concept, I was thorough with all the topics. Even in the security valuation chapter में भी मैंने theory पूरा पढ़ के रखा था कि भैया ये theory आ सकती है, what question can really come. You need to expect now, expect कि क्या नया question आ सकता है, start expecting, just like we are expecting in audit, right? Just like this question, this hasn't come right, but still we are expecting कि हाँ इससे आ सकता है, क्यों? Because they have given 4 points and definitely they can ask for 4 marks. Similarly SFM में जहाँ जहाँ 4 पॉइंट दिख रहे हैं टॉपिक्स में, you need to think कि क्या ये आ सकता है क्या, is it really that important, and if they ask then what will they ask. Expect करो क्वेश्चन को, think, जब expect करोगे तो automatically you will retain the answer. And theory is very very important, key 20 marks theory आएगा definitely, and that will sail you through because no deduction is there in theory. 4 out of 4 मिलता है SFM की theory में, if you are writing it all points, even if you are writing it on your own language. ठीक है, so it's very important for you to pay attention to theory. मेहनत ज़्यादा है but SFM is not also bulky as far as FR and audit are concerned, right? So you can revise multiple times, not that bulky. ठीक है, anyone had any question raised, someone raised their hand?
सर रिवीजन तो क्लास के साथ में करना चाहिए वैसे, बट सर प्रॉब्लम अभी ये आ रही जैसे ऑडिट की क्लास हो रही है और एसएफएम की 2 से 3 क्लास रोज की करनी पड़ रही है, तो समय नहीं मिल रहा है। मतलब ऑडिट तो फिर भी थोड़ा रिवाइज हो जा रहा है, एसएफएम कुछ भी नहीं हो रहा है, सिर्फ बैकलॉग जाते जा रहा है,
तो
समय की कमी है।
instead of taking up new class you can revise for 1-2 hours and then take up the class na.
बट सर समय की भी कमी है ना। मतलब ये कि जुलाई में हो जाएगा ऑडिट और एसएफएम तो, बट उसके बाद फिर मेरा ये है कि जितना जल्दी खत्म हो सके उतना अच्छा है।
तो वही तो है दिक्कत, इट्स नॉट अबाउट टाइम, एफिशिएंसी भी तो आनी चाहिए, प्रॉपर इफेक्टिवनेस आना चाहिए ना, इन द सेंस कि तुम सिर्फ कंप्लीट करते जाओगे तो वो पूरा वेस्ट हो सकता है। अगर तुम अभी कर रहे हो और अभी तुम्हारा एग्जाम है तो आई वुड हैव डन कि प्रॉपर एक एक क्लास कर करके उसको वापस से कंपाइल भी करते जाओ, नोट्स भी बना लूँ अच्छे से, प्रॉपर समराइज भी कर लूँ अभी अगर कर रहे हो तो, इवन इफ इट इज टेकिंग टाइम। ठीक है,
ओके सर।
इंस्टेड ऑफ डूइंग इट इन अ फास्ट मैनर, थोड़ा 5-10 दिन ज़्यादा लगेगा, 10-12 दिन ज़्यादा लगेगा, बट दैट वुड बी मोर इफेक्टिव वंस यू आर स्टार्टिंग योर सेकेंड रिविजन। अभी फर्स्ट रिविजन हो जाएगी तुम्हारी क्लास के साथ साथ, तो सेकेंड रिविजन ऑनवर्ड्स यू विल बी ऑन योर ओन, इट विल सेव योर फर्स्ट रिविजन का टाइम अगर अभी साथ साथ में रिवाइज करते जाओगे तो। ठीक है,
जी सर।
चलो